This video explains how to write material and method section in a primary data study. Primary data study refers to the research in which a researcher uses a methodology to collect data directly. In such studies, the researcher does not depend on the data collected in previous studies. In other words, in primary data study, a researcher owns the data. Primary data studies generally are carried out to address a certain problem which requires in-depth analysis. Primary data is generated by the researcher. The primary study researchers design surveys, interviews, and experiments especially for understanding and solving the research problem at hand. Generally, primary data is a real-time data. The collection and analysis of primary data involves multiple processes. Primary data is collected through surveys, questionnaires, observations, experiments, personal interviews, etc. However, collection of primary data involves costs in terms of time and money. It is also notable that the primary data is specific according to the research needs, depending on the research questions, objectives, and scope of research topic. Generally, it is in crude form. It needs to go through multiple statistical processes before the final analysis, especially for its reliability and validity. In the field of research, it is considered to be accurate and reliable as it is mostly collected keeping in mind a specific research problem. After the selection of a research topic, a researcher conducts a comprehensive literature review and determines a research problem. Furthermore, the researcher develops a conceptual framework and constructs the hypothesis. Moving forward, the next step for the researcher is to decide about the materials and methods. In primary data studies, data collection is a major step that a researcher has to focus on and write the step-by-step details in materials and methods section. The author should give the details of population and related samples. Moreover, it is also imperative to explain the details of sampling methods used for the study. The development of a survey design is also important in primary data research. Surveys are commonly based on deployment methods and frequency methods. Referring to the survey based on deployment methods, the researcher should give details on how the survey was conducted. For instance, whether the researcher used online or paper survey, telephonic survey, or it was conducted through emails, or the researcher conducted one-to-one interviews. The author also needs to explain whether the survey was based on frequency methods such as cross-sectional, longitudinal, or retrospective one. A complete draft of questionnaire survey should be developed. Moreover, the researcher should also provide detail of types of scales used in survey research. For instance, the author used questionnaire. The researcher should explain whether he or she used 3-point Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale, or 7-point Likert scale. After the complete designing of questionnaire, a pretest is required. This process is known as pilot testing. Pilot testing is a small study conducted prior to conducting an actual experiment designed to test and redefine or refine procedures. The author should spell out how the pilot testing was carried out. For this purpose, it is customary that the questionnaire questions are inspected by some experts of related research field. Then the questionnaire is distributed among the respondents to receive responses for pilot testing. For the pilot testing, the sample size of pilot test is reasonable within the range of 30 to 50 responses. Cron batch alpha is used to measure the internal consistency of questionnaire or test items. During the pilot testing, cron batch alpha should be measured and reported in the study. After achieving the acceptable benchmarks of cron batch alpha more than zero point 0.7, the researcher should proceed to collect the data. Author should also explain how he or she handled the missing values in the data. After the collection of data, through final data collection process, cron batch alpha measured to assess the internal consistency of questionnaire or test items of the final survey. In the next step, the author should describe the confirmatory factor analysis. In this analysis, factor loadings, model fit, average variance extracted, composition reliability, discriminant validity, convergent validity, and comparative fit index should be represented. Moreover, the details about the Harman factor test for common method bias should also be provided. After the validity and reliability confirmation of the data collected, the next step is the estimation or analysis methods used in the study. It is also necessary to provide description of estimation methodology used in the statistical methods. For instance, whether the researcher used analysis of variance, probability regression, logistic regression, or structural equational modeling, to name a few. Author should provide details about the hypothesis testing and diagnostics for the confirmation of model fit. Moreover, the author should also describe the softwares or group of softwares that were used for the estimations or analysis. Generally, SPSS, MOS, SmartPLS, PLS-SEM, Stata, eViews or R softwares are used for the analysis. Viewers, if you find the video beneficial, please subscribe the channel and press bell icon for the notifications of new videos on research writing. Thank you.